I was finishing up my academic degree, my master's degree at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I was doing my thesis. I was finishing last coursework, getting everything ready because that was going to be the time of my graduation. That's where I was, not in Woodstock, New York, but in Indiana, Pennsylvania, graduating with a master's degree. I was teaching that at that time period, and I could see a change in student behavior, somewhat their dress, their hair, their attitude. It was a social event that started to change the direction of younger people in the United States. And as a teacher, I could see how they did stuff different at the school. And I taught at a high school, so they were really into this type of the music and the change in the lifestyle. My political stance was probably, I would say, neutral. I was never for it or against it. Especially at the beginning, you never knew much about it. I was teaching high school at that time. Actually, it started before I started teaching. And when I became a teacher, I found out that I was going to be draft exempt because there was shortages of teachers and teachers were draft exempt. But over the next few years, you started to see a little bit more of what was going on, when it was happening, and it became more aware and more public. But as a high school teacher and a sponsor of the senior class, I had students who wanted only to have an anti-war program, and I knew the school would say no, and I said, we need to have both sides there, and they go, well, there's nobody in favor of the war, and I said, well, I think there are in the school, and ended up, we had a speaker, and there were the two speakers that did both sides of it. And I thought that was a better situation, and those kids were surprised there were actually students who were in favor of the war. Life lessons that I've learned from this era is that you have to be sort of open. You have to look at both sides because each side has an opinion and you have to respect that they have the opinion and you cannot be one or against. One major life lesson that I've learned from that era is that when troops come back from deployment overseas, they need to be welcomed back, accepted, even though you might disagree with what they're doing. Because I taught students who went to Vietnam, and when they come back, they were always sort of ridiculed. They didn't want to say they were there. They didn't feel accepted, even though they felt they were doing the right thing, until the Vietnam Memorial was built in D.C. and dedicated. And once that happened, people started to accept that when there's something you disagree with, but there needs to be an acceptance of what happened, not being nasty. And the Vietnam Memorial to me is one of the most unique memorials anywhere, and I've traveled different parts of the world, and I've gone there to find one of my students who I've lost, and his name's on the wall.